Hey there, it's Mike Tramp, and you're listening to White Line Fever, where rock and roll is still alive like it always has been, and it always will be.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to White Line Fever Kicks, and there's a new setup, which means that you can hear us talking before the show even starts. But luckily, we didn't defame anyone. It's a special St. Patrick's Day episode. You can see I celebrated St. Patrick's Day last night. My eyes are a bit bleary. Episode. I reckon it's still St. Patrick's Day somewhere, maybe in the Cook Islands or somewhere like that. And our guest is a fellow who works for Rugby League Ireland. I thought it might be a good opportunity to discuss the state of rugby league in Ireland for St. Patrick's Day. I'll introduce him, but don't forget to, if you're watching on YouTube, to subscribe and also to go to Patreon/White Line Fever to support the show and see stuff first and all that sort of shit I say every week. Welcome, Will Hayes. Will, how are you?
Thanks, Steve. Thanks for having me. It's an honour to have such a highly regarded reporter looking to speak to me.
Wow, I don't know how to go. Well, where is he? It must be here somewhere. Will, tell us a little bit about yourself. About how you got involved in the game of rugby league. Yeah,
well, how I got in the game of rugby league, there was kind of I wanted to kind of set up a community sevens competition within the union, because we would be just following union here in Ireland to be very strong. Leinster were kind of behind it as well, but the club that we were based in didn't want to have a go of it. And one of the parents said to me that at Boy were setting up a rugby league team, and I knew the Longhorns were based in that Boy, but it was a brand new rugby league team. So Tony Dale was there and Jordan Herring. Tony would have coached my two kids when they were under 13 and under 12. So I rang Tony and he says, yeah, get the lads down. Now the lads were only 15 at the time, so he brought them down, and the rest is history then after that. So we got stuck into it, and I got invited onto the board, and I got voted back onto the board this year as well. So
yeah, congratulations on that. It sounds like a meat ball league. Is that a fair assessment?
Yeah, well, look, back in 95, the Charity Shield was played in the RDS. Andy Farrell played in that, he scored a try. Terry O'Connor played in that and scored a try. I don't know if Barry McDermott played in that. But there was a lot of people there. So rugby league would have been very popular back then because it was on BBC, and it was, a lot of people would have been watching it. And then the union kind of took off because it got professional, and players being paid, and there was more on telly, and league wasn't on our telly as much as probably what it should be. But it's probably more suited to the Irish people because of GAA players. You know what I mean? The crossover. We'd have a lot of players there now who would play rugby union at a high level, but also play GAA at a high level. So the crossover there is kind of quite unique. You know what I mean? But they're all club players, so they're probably more best suited for league.
Yeah. So how? I guess people watching outside Ireland would have a very basic question: is how strong is rugby league in Ireland? How many people are playing, and what are the sort of steps being made to sort of make it bigger?
To make it bigger, the steps. I think there's eight clubs this year in the domestic league. Hopefully, we could have 10. Out of that, there's probably. I'll speak about Atboy. Atboy has a very, very young team. I think the average age this year will be 18. So they, some of those players have played. I think there's one player he's not 18 till the summer, and he's played 2 seasons at adult level. And that's drafted more and more players in. So the Longhorns would be drafting players in as well. So I think it's going to take off because there hasn't been much union because of COVID. We'll probably be the first sports that will get back. So hopefully that'll kick on, that people want to get out. It's a lot more suited for the Irish people, you know what I mean? Because a lot of mothers don't want their kids in rucks anymore, or scrums in like Union. So there could be a good push to come to play a league, because even though it's hard hitting and it's fast and everything else, you don't have the breakdown like the scrums in Union and then the rucking on the ground. Do you know what I mean? So it's a lot of people have said to me, yeah, they might give it a go, you know.
Yeah, is it more a word of mouth thing, really? Rugby league in Ireland. I mean, like, it costs a lot of money to market it and all that sort of stuff, doesn't it? I mean,
yeah, I can. In 2019, when I got involved, it was a parent seen it on Facebook. So I think Tony Dale is there. He's from Yorkshire or Lancashire. He's in App probably longer than he was in the UK. I said to Tony, he says, give me a couple of weeks, I'll get your players. Tony thought he won the lotto. The young players are coming out. I think 2019, when we played Scotland, we would have had a good few of that. Most of the team was from that boy. But I remember saying to Casey Dunn that I met Casey Dunn. I said to him, I'll get to the players, Casey. And he said, it's a different game. You know, it'll take them a while. But I knew a lot of the players from around, you know, within the Leinster setup. And next thing, it was like we had a great team in 2019 under 16s. And they went on to beat Scotland well, and we lost by a try in Newcastle. But those players are all mad to play league. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's a good few lads in with Leinster youths, and I think they prefer to play rugby league. You know, so it is word of mouth. So it filters all the way down through to other clubs. Oh, well, maybe I'm as good as him. I give league a go. Do you know, sort of way, because Union is a bit of a closed shop at the minute. You know.
Yeah. And Rugby League Ireland is trying to create a pathway for young players to get a start in England, aren't you?
Yeah. Jed Cochran there. I've been since the Scotland game 2019 in Newcastle. Myself and Jed speak regularly, and we're putting in plans to, you know, with lockdown, you have strength and conditioning. But we had 4 lads. Warrington came over and spoke to 4 of our lads. But then with COVID, it didn't materialise. So there has been a bit of interest to Jed about players. Hopefully, you know, this summer we could be playing a couple of the academy teams like St Helens, Leeds, Wigan, as well as the international games that we have lined up. Yeah.
And Will, do you get much grief from rugby union? Do they give you much trouble?
Well, I know one club had 5 players off the under 16s, and they never even said congratulations, kiss me arse, or anything like that. Do you know what I mean? They did 5 players, like 5 international players had you know, from their club had 2 caps at under 16, which was brilliant. You know what I mean? You know, it's yeah, you probably will get a bit. Yeah, it's probably they probably turn their nose up on it, you know, turn their nose down at it. You know what I mean? Yeah. And you know, if you're not in the right circles, it's probably frowned upon. You know.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, because you know, in Wales, rugby union is very much a working class game, but in other parts of Britain, it's seen as a sort of an upper class game, a gentleman's sport still after all these years. Is that where does it kind of sit sort of socially in Irish society, do you think?
Yeah, I still think that's probably it will be in brackets, you know, for the upper class, the schoolboys. You know, look, and you can't blame Leinster on that. They're tuning out players left, right, and centre because of the school system. I did have my eldest son. Now he went to a rugby school for the last couple of years, but he was in with Leinster Leinster development squad for a while. I wouldn't send my kid to a rugby school again. Do you know what I mean? I just think, right, number one, it's grand, but if you come in from the outside at a later date and you have been in a high profile Leinster system, coaches don't want to know you. Do you know what I mean? It's not your ability. You know what I mean? It's not, you know, it's, well, I think one of the comments was made was, because you're a Leinster, don't think you're going to get a place in this team. Do you know what I mean? That's, you know, where rugby league is, which is, this lad is good, we'll give him a crack at it. Do you know, sort of way. It's you know, since I've been involved with rugby league, I think it's brilliant. It's brilliant for the young lads. Do you know what I mean? You get young lads up. I think we played in a competition up north. I think we played Oldham St Anne's, and they brought over, had to be their academy team. And we were told it was the under 16s, and there was no way it was their under 16s, so it was their academy team. I think they bet us 24-0, and my son came off the pitch and he says, "You know what?" He says, "I'd be embarrassed for if I played in the other team." He says, "They should have bet us 60-70 now." Do you know what I mean? So that was, you know, and that was their first game. But we had a little fella there called Martin Kearns. You know, I had him. I coached rugby union. I had him from rugby union. I seen him grow. Do you know what I mean? He couldn't run around the pitch, and he's flying. He played in that game, and he had a great game. Do you know what I mean? But he had no illusions of making it as a rugby league professional. But all he wanted to do was go out and play. No one passed any remarks on him. They made him feel welcome. So it's kind of more of a community sport. It's growing into. Do you know sort of way? You know, so like I think. I remember going to a GA match with my son, and he was always talking about Lee Walsh. I think Lee Walsh scored a try a week over Newcastle, and he was going, Lee Walsh this, Lee Walsh. He's very fast. I remember going to see him playing minor hurling for Meath. I coached his brother, and his brother is very, very good. He could be one of the best fullbacks if he puts his mind to it. Do you know what I mean? Lee. I never seen anyone with speed. He just caught them. When he got the sliotar into the hand, he was gone. They didn't know how to coach him. So it took me about 2 weeks to convince him over to play rugby league, and he just loves it. I think he got 2 tries the first day against Scotland. The second day he scored that try of the week. You know, Dyer, a few came down knocking on his door. He loves league. Do you know what I mean? And he is no. You know, he's only got couple of games under his belt. You know what I mean? He wouldn't even have 10 games. You know. So
yeah. And to the other kids, I know Ronan Michael. You know, he was a big Sonny Bill Williams fan and stuff. And did a painting of him in art class. But do the kids generally know the sort of NRL players, or do they?
Look, I can say what Liam would be on about this fella, that fella. I wouldn't have a clue who they are. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I wouldn't. He'd be saying, I think we did a fantasy, Jordan organised a fantasy NRL league there. I just went in and pressed auto pick, and I knew a few players on it. Do you know what I mean? I was happy out. And, you know, they went through, he's good, he's the guy. I haven't a clue, you know what I mean? But, like, you know, I know, like, we would... Sonny Bill Williams is up there at the top, and you can only admire him what he's done, like to change codes, become a boxer. Like he's, I know he's an idol in our house for one young fella. Do you know what I mean? But like, you know, across the way, people probably other than that, they might know too many players. Do you know what I mean? Like I'm lucky. Like you look at Sky, we have 3 players there: Brian Carney, Barry McDermott, and Terry O'Connor. Like Terry, I remember Terry O'Connor, and I looked at him and I said, "That lad's he's an animal when he was playing." Do you know what I mean? That was in '95. I think I was only 19 at that stage. You know what I mean? So like, it was big back then. It was big back then, and then it just drifted off. So I think that, you know, I've spoken to 1 or 2 fellas within that were high up, maybe in Union, and they reckon that it'll take off after what they've seen the Scotland game in Newcastle, because it was televised really, really well. It says it could really take off, because Leinster have 70 lads this year going for under 19s. They can only pick a panel, so what's going to happen to those lads? Do you know, sort of way? But then out of, just say, if there's 50 lads there that rock up for trials with us, out of those 50, I'd say we could be lucky to get 10 lads that can cross over. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But then again, if you have a GA player, it's probably quicker to change him. Do you know, not to change him, but to develop him into a player. Like, we're lucky, the four lads that Warrington were looking at all have GA backgrounds. 3 of them are playing rugby with Leinster youths. Do you know what I mean? So they were lucky.
Mm-hmm.
They suit league down to the ground. Do you know what I mean? Like Jed Corcoran, now, in fairness to him, that man's a legend. You know what I mean? A legend when it comes down to sorting out developing plans for the young lads, and you know, he's always on the phone. How are they getting on? You know, they're trying to train, tipping away. I'd be onto the parents out that we have after under 16s. You know, just ask them if there's any, you know, if there's any questions you want me to ask or answer. Get the lads to ask me the questions. You know, but like that boys recruited well this year. I'd say we have, I think, 5 sets of brothers playing on the team, and that's ranging from, you know, one lad is 17, he'll be playing with his older brother. The 2 boys here will be playing. There's 2 new lads coming as well, they're brothers. The 2 Walshes are brothers. You know what I mean? There's 5 sets of brothers playing on the one team. It's going to be immense, and then they'll you know, a good few of them will transfer over into the international setup, and then it's down to Casey Dunn to get them up to speed at international level. Do you know what I mean? So he's done very well with, like, 2019 the under 16s. We were only up and going for 3 months, and you know, we bet Scotland. I'm gonna be honest, we should have bet them in Newcastle, but the referee kind of rolled us out of it big time. Do you know what I mean? So you know, I'll find the lads, and Casey will get them up to scratch. Do you know what I mean? You know, that's with lads coming to that boy, it's probably a bit different because we have Tony Dale there, who actually, you know, we're more of a developing club. So we go out and we played the Longhorns last year. I think we did 1 sub. I think the average age was 17, and you know, we didn't care about the score. People from the Longhorns were cheering for that boy because the young lads were plucky enough. Do you know what I mean? And they had, who were they on the team? They had Ronan Michaels on the team. They had James Levani, they had Matty Code, and Casey Dunn, who's the next international. He came on, and to be honest with you, Casey was the first one that got flattened. You know what I mean? By a 17-year-old. So like it is. I think it's going the right way. Do you know what I mean? I think with everyone in place, Casey here coaching the lads, that's the same as the seniors. You know, because Casey's he's an assistant coach with the World Cup squad. So you have Stuart, Jed Cochran, the assistant coach, and Casey's assistant coach. We're very lucky to have Casey coaching the young lads. Do you know what I mean? So,
is there over the years there's been talk of a professional team based in Ireland and playing over here in England? Is there much talk about that at the moment? I know with COVID it's difficult and it's a very expensive proposition, isn't it?
Yeah, well, look, I think it'd be, look, you can only see what the Wolfpack have done in Toronto. So we're only a ferry ride away. Like, load a couple of lads up onto the bus, and they're in Manchester within 12 hours or something like that. So I think if it came on board, it'd be great. Like the talent pool here of young lads is just immense. I'm actually surprised that rugby league clubs in the UK haven't snapped up more players. Do you know what I mean? I know. I was talking to a few Australians. One Australian approached Suzanne about Glean. They reckon that we've 4 or 5 players, maybe 6 players could go to the NRL, and within a year or 2 they could be playing at a very high standard. That's that's what I've been told. Do you know what I mean? So I can see the talent that we have here. So it's and it'd be great for them to go abroad. But if there was a professional team set up here, why should we export them when we could be going very, very well and I'll start off in League One, then go to Championship and then Super League, But then it's all down to money. You need to have good investors, and I think it's possible. I think it's very possible. I know that if we could do it, we would do it if we had the backers. You know what I mean? It wouldn't take the players are here. Do you know what I mean? You probably would draft in a few other players maybe from abroad, maybe with that maybe be eligible to play for Ireland and go from there. But I can't see why we can't do that.
Yeah. What do you? I guess the big question is whether the team, Rugby League Ireland would like to have some control over that team, because it's it's clearly a development focus for you guys, but the Toronto Wolfpack didn't really have much to do with the Canada Rugby League. There was you know what I mean? It was a completely independent, private club, and that's where you get tensions, don't you? When you have the rich, if someone puts in the money, they expect to run it. They expect the control. So that's always a tough thing.
Look, that's always control. I know the European Federation are trying to put a competition together. I know that there was talks of the Dublin Blues entering that. I think it's the Euro 13s.
Yep.
And the Rugby League Ireland can't endorse that because it's not under the umbrella of the European Federation. A private club setting up would have to work with RLI because it will be developing young players for the private club and for international. So we would have to work together. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, what are your hopes for the World Cup and for the Wolfhounds at the World Cup?
Oh, we're going to win it. Yeah, that's my hopes. Yeah. Why not? You know what I mean? Look, the Wolfhounds in the World Cup. I know the boys are working very, very hard. I think with everything happening, we have a good young team. Jed's really on for the youth. So is Stu. I haven't seen the players that they're looking to bring onto the squad or anything. But yeah, I think realistically, quarter-final, semi-final. It's only a kick of a ball then, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's the way I look at it. It's just, we could say it's in our own backyard this year, do you know what I mean? So maybe a couple of Australian boys or New Zealand boys might be a bit cold when they come over, you know what I mean? They might be used to we'd be hoping it's snowing or something,
Well, I've put my glasses back on because I've got to push some buttons at the end of the show. Thanks for joining us, Will. Congratulations on all the work you're doing there. Is there any place people can go to sort of learn more about rugby league in Ireland?
The website is under construction, or we're launching a new webpage. That should be up and running. It's supposed to be up and running last week. So just give us a few days, and we'll hopefully have it up and running. But I think anyone that's interested in it, I know speaking from Matt Boy, our webpage, our Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and you follow the same with any other of the clubs there. They're probably up and running as well. Do you know what I mean? But the RLI webpage is just a little bit under construction or redevelopment or whatever they call it. Do you know what I mean? I'm not a tech savvy, so.
I will say I've actually I just spent quite a few hours last week editing together the Nines game from Sydney, the first game against Malta. So if you're interested in Rugby League Ireland, or indeed if you're watching in Ireland, the plan is to do Nines at 9 once a week and actually promote it in the countries where the teams are from. So hopefully next Monday at 9 p.m. Dublin time, we'll be playing that game. And none of those games have been seen publicly yet. The footage went out live and then it disappeared for a bunch of technical reasons. Anyway, I'll just tell people about that. So it'll be on the Rugby League Nines Facebook page and probably a couple of other locations as well. So anyway, Will, thanks very much for joining us. Really appreciate it, and thank you. Congratulations on all the hard work and I guess some of the rewards you're starting to see with some of those players coming through.
Oh, appreciate it, Stephen. Thanks for having me on.
No worries.